First actual device that we'll create is the electrophorus. The electrophorus has two parts. It's got a top plate and a bottom plate. The bottom plate is good as it is. It's the foam plate. This is the bottom part of the electrophorus. The top part of the electrophorus will consist of the aluminum plate, the foam cup taped as a handle in the middle of the aluminum plate, and then we'll add a straw and a pith ball. But let's get the cup put in place first. So with the tape, you'll need a scissors. We're not providing the scissors. Cut off just enough tape to hold the cup in place. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just use enough tape so that the cup stays where it's at. All right, these two parts put together are the electrophorus. Now we're going to create the static electricity detector known as the pith ball. You will already have opened up some of these straws for the first experiment that we'll ask you to do. So I'm going to just open up one of them now for this part. You won't have to do this. You'll already have opened them up. So we're going to attach the straw to the top plate of the electrophorus using tape and attach thread to the pith ball so that it dangles just far enough to be able to touch the edge of the aluminum plate. I recommend that you cut a slit in the end of the straw using a scissors. About a half to a full centimeter in length, or quarter inch, but no more than half an inch in length. With the thread, take off somewhere between 10 and 20 centimeters, or somewhere around 8 inches or so. And then find one of your pith balls, the straw with the aluminum foil around the outside of it, and we're going to tie the thread to the pith ball so that it's at one end of the thread. All right, now I would recommend, and I don't know if this is going to show up well on the video, but I would recommend that you turn the knot so that the knot is at the end of the straw, at the end of the pith ball, so that if you were to hold the thread, the pith ball would hang vertically, which would give it the most amount of length to be able to touch the aluminum plate. You may triple or quadruple tie the end of this to set a really good knot, because it would be best to cut off the excess thread. Cut off the small part of excess thread. Okay, now find the slit cut in the straw The thread will be held in place by that slit. I'm going to find the correct length of straw to hang off the cup and tape it in place. I'm going to pull on the thread so that I can get the pith ball at the right distance from the edge. So it should touch the edge and be able to bounce off the edge of the plate. And I'll wrap the rest of the thread around the straw to get it under control. Okay, so now for the electroscope. The parts that we're going to use to make the electroscope include the cardboard, the two paper clips, the small and the large paper clip, the bolt, the 3 nuts that fit on the bolt, the washer, the push pins, and the aluminum and paper leaves that are held together by the paper clip. Now you will have to supply a glass. Now the glass can be about any size on the opening of the glass. It could be a drinking glass, it could be a piece of Tupperware, but we're supplying a piece of cardboard that's designed to fit on top of what would be considered an average size container glass. If you get a large Tupperware container, then this cardboard might be too small to sit on top. So this is designed to sit comfortably on top of the jar or glass that you would be using. Now find the center of the cardboard. We're going to punch a hole through the center. Take one of the push pins and find the approximate center to the cardboard and just puncture it, put a hole in it. And then do it again very close by, a couple different places very close by. What we're doing is we're weakening the cardboard. Then we're going to, or what we want to do, is to fit the bolt through the cardboard where we've weakened the cardboard. Now before we do that, we're going to add a few things on to the bolt. So take the bolt and the washer so that they're together like this. The washer is all the way to the head of the bolt. And we're going to secure that in place with one of the nuts. So spin the nut all the way down to where it holds the washer in place. At this time, if you happen to have hot glue, it would not be a bad idea to put a spot of hot glue either with the bolt and the washer, the nut and the washer, or between the bolt and the nut, just so that it doesn't loosen up. Otherwise, you may find that with moving it around that might loosen up. All right, next, take another of the nuts, but put it about halfway on the bolt. Now we're going to puncture through the cardboard so that we have the bolt sticking out through the other side. Take the small paper clip and unbend it at the very middle, or that middle bend, straighten that out. So now it looks like this. And you'll notice that the small hook fits around the bolt. Try to get it as close to the cardboard as possible. Now take the third nut, tighten it down to hold the paper clip in place. And again, if you have hot glue, you could put a spot of hot glue to make sure that that doesn't release. Now bend the paper clip so that it points away from the cardboard. Okay, now we're going to create the aluminum leaves that will hang off of that hook. So find the aluminum leaves that are held inside the paper clip along with the paper. Remove the paper clip and carefully make sure you have 2 aluminum leaves in there. If you don't have 2 aluminum leaves, you should contact us, or if you're feeling creative, try to cut your own aluminum leaves. Now I have 2 aluminum leaves, so I'm going to punch a hole using a push pin through the narrow end of the leaves. You might use the cardboard that you have so that you can push through all the way. So I just made a hole through the leaves, through the paper, through the whole stack. Remove the push pin. Separate out the aluminum. We're not going to use the leftover paper. Those are discardable. Now I'm going to put these aluminum leaves onto the hook. You can do them one at a time, or you can put them on together. It doesn't matter. You want to be sure not to tear the aluminum. Okay, flatten out the leaves. Try to get them as flat as you can. And then you want them to hang straight down. So there should be 2 aluminum leaves that hang straight down. And then that goes inside the jar. Now for the last step, to keep this centered on top of the jar, we're going to use the push pins in a triangular pattern. So this will maybe take a few attempts. So you want it so that it won't slip too far from being centered on top of the jar.